Your data is dirty. I don't care how organized you think you are. I don't care if you have a staff of 10 people whose only job is data entry. If you're running a legacy government system, an AS400, a mainframe, or even an on-premise SQL server from 2010, your data is a crime scene. And right now, you're probably planning to move that dirty data into a new $5 to $10 million cloud ERP system without cleaning it first. You think you're building a solution? You aren't. You're building a high-speed disaster. Now, I see this mistake in almost every single IT department I visit. We call it the lift and shift delusion. Agencies treat data migration like moving a box of books from one house to another. You think the process is physical. You think you can just pick up the box, put it in the truck, and drive it to the new mansion and put it on the shelf. But data isn't a box of books. Your old system is a hoarder's house. It's messy. It's flexible. It lets you break the rules. It lets you write, call Bob after 5 p.m. in a phone number field. It lets you put a negative sign in a date field. Your new ERP, it's a modern, minimalist apartment with strict HOA rules. It demands structure. It demands referential integrity. It demands valid syntax. Now, here's the garbage in, garbage out rule in reality. If you pour 20 years of messy, duplicate, incomplete legacy data into a modern system, the new system will choke. Your reports will fail because the dates are wrong. Your bills won't print because the addresses are formatted incorrectly. And you will fail your first audit because your balances don't tie out. You cannot modernize your agency with dirty data. It is physically impossible. Today, I'm going to tell you about a utility company that learned this the hard way. It cost them millions. And then I'm going to give you the data hygiene protocol you need to start using today before you even hire a software vendor. Now, let me tell you about a mid-sized utility company we helped a few years ago. This is a nightmare scenario, and I want you to listen closely because it happened due to one single data field. The utility had about 50,000 customer accounts. They were migrating from a 30-year-old legacy system, green screen, command line interface, to a tier 1 modern cloud ERP. The project seemed fine. The IT director was confident. He said, "We've got the mapping done, name to name, address to address, phone to phone. It's a one-to-one map. Easy." Here was the problem. The old system was forgiving. The phone number field in that old database was defined as free text. It wasn't a number field. It was just a bucket. You could type anything in there. So, over 30 years, helpful customer service reps had typed things like 555-123-4567 extension 4, husband's cell 555-123-4567, don't call on Sundays, C notes. To a human reading a screen, that information is helpful. To a computer, it is poison. It means nothing because a computer expects a phone number. Now, they bought a modern system to replace the old one. The new system's phone number field was strict. It required a 10-digit integer, no text, no extensions, no notes, just numbers. They didn't scrub the data before the migration weekend. They didn't run a profile. They just hit upload. The migration crashed hard. The new system's ingestion engine rejected 15,000 accounts because the data didn't match the validation rule. The system said, "This isn't a phone number. I'm rejecting the whole customer record." That's 30% of their customer base gone. Monday morning comes, the go live party is happening. There are balloons in the lobby, and suddenly the billing clerk realizes she can't generate bills for 15,000 customers. They don't exist in the system. They couldn't look up the balances. They couldn't process payments. If a customer called to report a leak, the rep had to say, "I'm sorry, I can't find you." For 2 months, their cash flow was cut by 30%. They had to pay staff overtime to manually open 15,000 records in the old system, write down the phone number on a sticky note, and type it into the old system. It cost them hundreds of thousands of dollars in labor and lost revenue. And the tragedy? It was completely preventable. It wasn't a software bug, it was a failure to respect the data. It was rushing in to migrate data without thinking about what it means. So, why does this happen? Why do smart IT leaders, project leaders let this happen? It's because of semantic drift. In your agency, you have words that you think you understand: active customer, start date, vendor. But over 20 years, the meaning of these words change, or they mean different things to different people. In 1995, start date meant the day the customer signed up. In 2005, you changed the policy, and start date started getting overwritten every time they renewed a contract. So in 2025, you did a mini upgrade, and start date got reset to the migration date. So now you have a column called start date, but it contains three different definitions of time depending on how old the record is. Now, if you migrate that column blindly into a new system that defines start date strictly as account creation, you've just corrupted your history. You have lied to the new system. This is why you cannot trust the automated mapping tools that vendors sell you. A tool can match date to date. It cannot match context to context. Only you can do that. So, how do you avoid the utility disaster? How do you move 20 years of history without breaking the new machine? I have a 4-step data hygiene protocol, and I want to be clear: you need to do this yourself. Do not trust the software vendor to clean your data. They don't know that Main Street and Main ST are the same place. Only you know that. Strategy number one: start cleaning 6 months early. Decide how much data you want to move forward to the new system. And do not wait until you sign a contract to look at your data. By then, it's too late. The clock is ticking on the implementation, and you will be rushed. 6 months before you even release the RFP, you need to run an internal audit. Look for duplicates. If you have Acme Construction and Acme Const. Inc. in your vendor file, the new system will treat them as two different companies. That messes up your 1099 reporting. Consolidate them now. Look for null values. Find the empty fields that shouldn't be empty. Look for dirty fields. Find those text fields that are masquerading as data. If you find that your vendor master file has 10,000 vendors, but you've only paid 2,000 of them in the last 5 years, you have a problem. Deactivate the old ones. A clean house attracts a better buyer, and in this case, a better vendor price. Strategy number two: purge the rot. There is a hoarding mentality in general, and government especially. Think we need to migrate everything since 1998, just in case. Or we think it's the retention policy. No, you do not. You do not need 20 years of transaction history in your live system. It slows down the search, it confuses the users, it breaks down the migration scripts. You need to establish a data retention policy for migration. We will migrate 7 years of financial history for audit purposes. We will migrate all active employees, or we will migrate active vendors. Everything else, archive it. Put it in a data warehouse. Put it on read-only SQL server. But do not pollute your beautiful new system with dead data. Strategy number three: validate programmatically. What that means is do not rely on the eyeball test. You cannot eyeball 50,000 records. You need to have your database administrator, a DBA, SQL validation scripts to find the errors for you. And you can lean on some vendors or outsourced help for this. They need to write a script that says, show me every phone number that is not exactly 10 digits. Write a script that says, show me every employee record where the social security number is missing. Write a script that says, show me every address that contains the words same or see above. Run these scripts every single week. The first time you run them, you will find 5,000 errors. Fix the source. Run the script again next week. You'll have 4,000. And you want that error report to be zero before the vendor ever shows up. Finally, strategy number four: practice the landing. Never let go live be the first time you try to load the full data set. That is suicide. Go live should not be an event. It should just happen. You need to schedule at least 3 mock migrations. You need to schedule at least 3 mock migrations before you go live. Mock 1, load a sample set. See what breaks, fix the mapping. Mach 2, load the full volume, test the speed. Does it take 4 hours or 4 days? If it takes 4 days, you can't do it over a weekend. You need to know that now. Mach 3, the dress rehearsal, full load, full validation, sign off. If Mach 3 isn't performed, you do not go live, period. You delay the launch. It is better to launch 1 month late than to launch on time and fail. Remember, the go live date and the definition of go live should be your definition and your date, not the software vendors. Here's the bottom line. A new ERP system is a high performance engine. It's a Ferrari, but data is the fuel. If you put sludge into a Ferrari, the engine will seize. You don't blame the car, you blame the mechanic who put the fuel in. You have to take ownership of your data hygiene. It's unglamorous, unsexy work. It is boring work. No one gets an award for best data scrubbing. But it is the difference between a successful launch and a public disaster where you're explaining to the mayor why bills didn't go out. And keep in mind, as we go into this AI era, data hygiene and how you deal with data governance is the most important skill to have in-house. So if you're looking at your legacy system right now and sweating because you know how bad the data is, we have resources for you. Click on this link for a video on how to do data planning. If you want to learn more about how to think about data migration, how to prepare for it, click on this video. We also have a data cleansing checklist and a pre-migration audit guide. It walks you through exactly what to look for in finance, HR, utility billing, etc. So you can start writing those scripts today. I've put a link in the description. Download it, hand it to your DBA, start scrubbing. Don't let dirty data destroy your legacy. Let's get to work. Thank you.